Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link. Good morning. I just felt like ringing a few extra rings today. It's Monday. That's a new light. Ethel and Lucy, you guys know when we were down in the basement because of the tornadoes the other night. And I like it. I've always liked it. But my husband Brian and those cats, they're all in the corner. I'm like, what? You know, I kept wanting to go outside to see if I could see it. But anyway, that's just who I am. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. And it's Monday. We're in Q2, y'all. Q2. Yep, it's the third. Ooh. Breathe, breathe. Nam-myoho renge-kyo. Nam-myoho renge-kyo. Gotta be zen. We leave 1 month from tomorrow to go to, oh, look at me back there. Going to Romania, y'all. I'm so excited. So much is happening. Guess what? The documentary team, the Sailor Brothers that are coming. Oh, let me get up here and show you. They're coming to, shoot our film. Wait a minute. Okay, look.
here's our movie poster. Okay, the Sailor Brothers, right, who are coming with us. Guess what? Their brand new movie, which released Friday in theaters across America, entitled His Only Son. Brian and I went and saw it yesterday afternoon. Debuted at number 3. Beat out Shazam and a whole bunch of other stuff. Came in right underneath the John Wick movie. And boy, when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. For real? We're actually working with these people? God is good. I'm telling you what. We're so excited. So my guest is here today, Beth Bell. She was here. Something happened with me back when she was originally here, and I had Jamie Lane do the interview. Oh, I think I wasn't feeling well. And so I thought I'd bring her back. I owed her that much at least, because she mailed me her book, and I read some of it, and we're going to talk about that today. So Beth Bell was in the house all the way from out west, so it's crack of dawn out there. That's the Bella Purpose. Say hello to substitute Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo, because the other one's in the dishwasher getting her roots done. I'm into this bell today. Go figure. So anyway, listen, before I get our guest in here, because we have 30 days and we are raising the money, you know, when you do something outside of your own backyard in the event, per se, it is up to 3 times the amount of what it usually takes. Every penny we raise goes directly to everything we do for these children. We have an entire week. Every day we are servicing. Let me see. We get there on Friday. We rest on Saturday. We have a lot of meetings. And then Sunday is our big event in the park where hundreds of kids are coming. And then we go to all these individual places throughout the week. Everything from domestic violence shelters to group homes. We're going to the largest pediatric oncology hospital to talk to kids who have just finished their treatments and they're really depressed because their friends are afraid of them now, thinking they're going to die. And even though they beat their cancer, they don't have their hair, they're a little emaciated. So we're just going. So every group that we meet with every day, we're not just running in and singing a couple songs or reading a couple books or speaking a couple speeches. We're actually going in, taking off our shoes, hanging out with these kids. We're taking 200 comfort cases. Thank you, comfortcases.org, for donating 200 comfort cases with brand new pajamas, slippers, toiletries, books, all the things that kids need and love inside those 200 cases. And that cost alone, let's just thousands. Okay, but we're going to get there, but we cannot get there alone. That's why this is called The Power of We and not The Power of Me. Can I get an amen? So I wanted to let you guys see, first of all, we thank God we have partnered with the #1 NGO. That's what they call nonprofits out of the United States, y'all, in case you didn't know. NGO, Hope for Kids, and we are going to do work together. They're going to be a part of the documentary. We're going to take 2 trips back over to finish the story. We're like the floor show, and then we're going deep into the catacombs of the corruption, of all the things that need to be changed, and we're going to do our best to get a new narrative in front of the world. So pray for us on that. So I wanted to introduce you to the team, we have Team USA, which are 17 of us from here. And there are 17 people young people from Romania, mainly actors, actresses, performers, artists of some sort. And so first of all, take a look at what we're doing with Hope for Kids.
Acolo a fost personalul de serviciu care ți-a înjurat, ți-a blestemat ăsta și ți-a furat mâncarea. Unde? La Deca, la Sfântul Nicolae. Să nu fie foarte numai pentru bani. Acum, deja numai pentru bani. Că toți donațiile și astea, și donațiile privesc copiii, nu? Da. Privesc copiii. Donațiile se pune în
The purpose of this documentary is to raise a universal alarm on the extreme poverty levels in which families and over 41.5% of Romanian children live in. Some children go to bed without eating. Some eat every 2 days. 8 in 10 Romanian children in orphanages are not even orphans. The extreme poverty levels of their families forces the parents to abandon their children, either in an orphanage, a placement center, or with a family member, so they can go abroad and work. Even more alarming than the rising poverty levels in Romania are its ramifications: neglect, child abuse, child labor, rape, trafficking, school abandonment, children ending up in the system, in prison, or even worse, dead. Now imagine a world in which all children can grow up in a loving family with proper food, access to education, sexual education, access to proper mental health and physical health, access to integration programs. Imagine these children having the same chance in life as our children. Let's be family to these children, all of us, together. Let's be the answer to the end of poverty and social exclusion. Join our forces and help us build a better world in which families and children of Romania flourish.
Okay, thank you. That was Dina, one of the founders. There are 4 of them spread out all over the world, but all 4 of them have Romanian family and roots. They were born and raised there. And there are, 11 million people since the fall of the communist regime have spread out to the 4 corners of the world. Many of them just so that they can work, and so that if they have kids that are on the spectrum or have some type of disability, aren't forced into an institutional setting for the rest of their lives. So really quickly, before we get Miss Bell in here, I wanted to let you, all of the people, but I'm not showing them all, but a few of the key people in the team Romania wanted to say hello and tell you why they're doing this. Starting with Mike Suvica, who is my #1 on the ground guy over there. He's also coming immediately after our tour here to the United States for a 4-city tour of his one-man show, which opens. As a matter of fact, they're in it right now. It's because it's later in the day there. But anyway, here's Mike Suvica.
I'm Mike Sabuika. I am a director, producer, and performer. I have been involved with charity since I was a little kid, and it's always brought me joy. And what I've always said is that I live to help others and to help those in need. The reason I am very excited about this project is because it's possibly the biggest charity project I have been involved in this far, and it's a huge opportunity. What I have spoken with Lauren about is that we are doing an event that might change the lives of so many children, and you never know what's going to happen next, because one of those kids can become the next president or the next inventor. And even if that doesn't happen, you still give them hope. Yeah, my main motivation for this whole project is giving hope to the children. Thank you, and looking forward to having you here.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to be a part of this project, to do good and to help others. My name is Cătălin Constantin Gheorghe. I'm an actor, and being an actor allows me to tell stories, and telling stories is a magical thing, because stories can heal. I'm married. I'm happily married. The universe blessed me with a wonderful, wonderful woman and a wonderful baby girl. My grandma told me when I was a kid that all that matters in life is to be a good person and to do good to others. So this is the reason behind all of my actions and behind everything that I do. And this is the reason why I'm here in this project. I can hardly wait to meet all of you. I hope that everything is going well with you guys. Yes. See you soon.
I'm Andrea Rogoverno. I'm 23 years old and I'm an actress.
Hello, my name is Radu. I'm 23 years old as well, and we have worked with Mike on many beautiful projects. I'm a photographer and a DP, and we want to be a part of this project because we want to be a helping hand.
And to spread joy. And we also want to learn as much as we can from you and from this experience.
Hope to see you soon and can't wait to meet you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm a professional actress and I'm really happy to be part of this beautiful project. When I first heard about this idea, when Mike told us, I got really excited because it was something I wanted to do a long time ago by myself, but I couldn't find the strength to do it. It's really hard when it's about children and I get really emotional. So I guess the universe is working and gather all of us to do something good for these beautiful children. I'm a mother and I realize I'm a lucky one, as my child is too. And I'm really honored to have this opportunity to give something good in return. So together with you to bring some joy in their lives. So thank you so much and see you soon.
Hello,
Hello,
my name is Tudor Ostafie,
and my name is Adela Butnaru.
and we are masters in puppets. The reason of our implication in this project is because we strongly believe that puppetry can bring smiles on children's faces.
We believe that throughout puppetry, we can help children to expand their imagination to enhance their creativity and courage.
Thank you, and we look forward in meeting you.
Hello. Hello.
Have I been muted that whole time? Yes. That's because I was coughing and I was like, I don't want them to hear this. Let me just say this really quick because I'm going to get Beth in here. I'm glad she's been here before us. I'd really be feeling bad. The responsibility for this, having just received President Biden's Lifetime Achievement Award in December for the Power of We Symposium, as well as 4 years ago receiving the Jim Award from the United Nations, means that the world is supportive of what we're doing. It is a movement. It's not a nonprofit. We are open to anyone joining us that is vested in changing the laws and protecting children wherever they may be in trouble. That doesn't mean just here. So we have the responsibility of representing our communities, representing you, and representing this country. Thank you to the United States State Department for believing in us and positioning our trip as a national story. Between that and what the Sailor Brothers will do with the magic they capture while we're there and the spiritual and divine moments that we will live while we're there, we hope to start a new dialogue and start a change that is needed in our country, inching up on 100 mass shootings just since January 1st. It must change. It must change. And we are the ones who make change. So let's do it. I have taken the liberty of dropping our GoFundMe link inside of the chat. If you are a company, a nonprofit, or a person who would like to donate through one of our sponsorship packages, we will be able to provide you with the in-kind receipt so that you can claim that on your taxes. And we really need your help on this one. It is quite expensive, but I know that the universe, God, source is going to make it happen. How do I know? Because he always does. They always do. So why should this be any different? Thank you for listening. Here she comes, you guys. Beth Bell. I'm looking at Lucille Ball on my thing. Ball and Bell in the house. This is the book. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to try to guess what you think this book is about. Angels, herpes, and psychedelics. Who knew those three things could go together? Well, clearly today's guest did and does. She's going to tell us how this became a reality and why. Here she comes. Put some hearts on the screen because here she comes, Beth Bell.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's still dark there.
I know it is. It's
Thank you for getting up. Thank you for getting up and showing up and coming back. The last time, I just couldn't do it that day, and I didn't want to completely cancel at the last minute, so I called on my girl, Jamie Lane, to come in, and she did. But I just felt like we should have some time together since you sent me the book, and I have it. Yeah. So say hello to everybody. Tell them where you're at in the world, and we'll get started.
Hello to everybody. I am in Encinitas, California. So I am happy to be here early in the morning because I am a morning person. And I know why you're so inspired to ring the bell today, because that's my name, Beth Bell, and it has a ring to it.
That must be. Went right over my head. So let's start with a little backstory, origin story, if we could.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up? What was your life like before you became the woman we're looking at? Just give us that little, hop across the pond if you could.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a small town in North Dakota of like 2,300 people. So a small town, Midwest America, salt of the earth, great people, and knew that I did not want to live in North Dakota for the rest of my life. And so I was spunky from the very beginning and have lived around the world now, have been on the East Coast outside of New York City, California, Singapore, Bali, India, back to the East Coast of America, and now back to the West Coast of America. And so I've been around the world, literally, living different places, and had an amazing experience doing it with lots of bumps, lots of ups, lots of downs, lots of all around. So, yeah.
So what was your dream growing up? What did you think you were going to be when you grew up to big?
I thought I was going to be an architect. I was going to design homes. That's what I thought I was going to be. I used to draw out all the drawings, and then one day I decided, oh wait, who's to say what's good art and bad art? And design shouldn't have a deadline, and I don't want to sit at a desk for the rest of my life. And so that took me into a whole different trajectory into my life. So, yeah.
So if a stranger walks up to you today, Beth, and says, hey, you look interesting, what do you do for a living? How do you answer that?
Well, I think the quick answer that I'd like to say is that I help transform relationships to love and life. And my mission is really to help pollinate the planet with love, but through awakening. It's time to wake up. Like everyone right now knows that you either wake up or you go deeper into the suffering of the mind. And so it's all about unraveling the mind to unveil the illusions, which is the subtitle on the book, but I genuinely mean it, that it is time to wake up.
You think? Man, Tell me about it. Let's do this. On the back cover, you have right at the top, so I know it's important. I want to try that one, and then we're going to take every word of the title one by one, because they are sections of your journey. But let's start with this kiss at 30,000 feet that changed your life. So was this one of those, y'all know you were thinking it too, was this some kind of Mile High Club thing? What happened up there?
No, it really wasn't. I was married, and I had met a really incredible gentleman at a conference, a development conference, and just felt a connection to this person. Went home, shared with my husband all about this person, and just thought that there was something that we would be doing together in the future, and business-wise. And then, a long story short, we had an opportunity to meet up in San Francisco, and it ended up that we went on his private jet across the country, and through our conversation unexpectedly to me, actually, because I had a connection to this person, but it wasn't a romantic connection
Okay, so
until
this
that.
was not romantic.
It was not romantic. I just knew I
Okay.
had a strong connection. I had a, at the time, I really wasn't familiar with, I mean, I'd heard of previous lives, but I didn't necessarily believe it. I grew up Christian, and it just wasn't in the narrative. So I hadn't really thought about that kind of deep soul connection that we have with other people. And then it just happened, this kiss at 30,000 feet. And what it did was it absolutely woke my whole body up at a cellular level. And I just went, whoa, I am not living the life that I came here to live. And I knew that I needed to get divorced from my husband, not because of him, but because I knew that my soul had been speaking to me and I wasn't listening. And so that was the big wake-up call. I mean, I feel blessed that it was a kiss at 30,000 feet as opposed to a diagnosis of an illness or a death of a loved one, or, one of the other wonderful ways that spirit wakes us up and knocks us over the head and says, you're not listening. You're not on the path. You have your soul's path is different than what you're on right now. And so I was living a really beautiful life. I had probably everything that everybody thinks that you want, the white picket fence kind of idea.
Right.
And it wasn't the soulmate relationship that my spirit was calling for me. And so I had to face that realization quite quickly. And then that led to my divorce, and it led to what I like to call my spiritual soul quickening.
Okay, back up in the air. So were you sitting next to this guy?
We were sitting, next to it. Yes. It was a private jet. So it was.
Oh, the kiss happened on the private jet.
Yes.
Not where you first met him.
Correct.
Okay. So what was in the kiss that changed your life? If it wasn't a physical or a carnal or a lustful thing, what did the kiss do? Did you see something from a life before, or what happened?
Okay, no, that's a good question. So what I meant is, prior to the kiss, I wasn't thinking, like, when I went to get on the plane and I asked my husband, hey, are you okay if I go on this plane with this gentleman that I've told you about? I wasn't thinking that there was going to be a romantic connection. I wasn't thinking, oh, something's going to happen. I was just excited to connect and to talk because I knew that there was a connection between us, but I didn't think that it was romantic. So yes, when he kissed me, then there was the spark of chemistry that came flooding through, of course. But there was that familiarity. There was something on a soul level, and I had not experienced that depth of soul familiarity at that point in my life. I had with friends, and you meet people and you're like, oh, I just feel like I've known you before. But this person, I just had this really intense connection, and I had not had that experience. And, I was also at a place where that was like cheating on my husband was not even a possibility for me. That was not something that was in my repertoire. It was not something that I would want to do and would even think to do. So all of it was a bit of a bizarre collision. But, looking back, I know that it was, again, my soul nudging me to say, you're not in your soul's plan.
So you think you knew this guy before?
Definitely, we've lived previous lives. Yeah, I do feel that. Yes.
That's what I was waiting for, because I'm gonna tell you guys, I had that experience. Some of you may remember about 4 years ago, I got recruited to be a part of a thing called FYP World, and we're all anonymous people. The people that recruited us have millions of dollars, and we do little things that go out on some social thing, and people respond, and the first so many get money. And so we were at the retreat where they were bringing us all together. And one of the guys there, he lives in Alaska now, Alan. Hi, Alan. We were around a fire. Danny Torres is in this group and was there. And I'm telling you, we were around this propane fire thing. It was square. And every time somebody spoke, now I had a beer. I don't drink beer. I drink red wine, but I only had beer. So I was like, okay, give me one. So I'm sipping it. And so I'm not buzzed or anything. And I noticed that when people spoke, the fire turned to the direction of the people that were speaking. And I said, okay, you guys, I'm tripping. Do you all see that? But then Alan, who was playing a drum, I looked across the fire and it kept glitching. And I saw him running with some bison. I saw him in all these all these different lives. I'm freaking out because I'm thinking somebody slipped me something. Is Bill Cosby around here somewhere? Because surely someone put something in my beer. And now I know, because all night long before this happened, I kept saying, why do I think I know you? It feels like I know you. That made me a believer. So I'm just saying, don't just say, it was a booty call and she's not telling us and this and the other. No. I know exactly what you're talking about. It doesn't need explaining because you can't explain it. You just know. So if you should get those feelings, don't just shoo them away. Be open. So Beth, okay, so now this has happened. Let's go to the title of the book. First of all, how long did you consider this book before you actually, grew a set and put it down? Because I've read some of it and I know it couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, I always wanted to write a book, but I wanted to do like the 5 Pearls of Wisdom, 3 tips, the wisdom book, right? I wanted, like, my ego wanted to write the book that showed that I was some expert in something, right?
Right.
And then one day Spirit said, you're going to write a book about the stories of your life. And I was like, yeah, no. And Spirit said, yeah, yes. And I was like, kind of argued for a little bit. And then very clear direction came. And the direction was, get your pencil, which I actually don't use a pencil very often. Get your pencil and your white journal. And I sat for about an hour and I wrote, at the time, it was only 12 chapters, but I just wrote out the outline and I was like, oh my gosh, I am doing this. And so I just dedicated my life to writing that book and got it done in like a year and a half, which I guess in book writing terms is a little bit of lightning speed, especially when it's over 100,000 words. But it just flowed through me. And I know now that I was called to write the book to help with the awakening in humanity. And now is the time. And so it wasn't a book that I needed to spend, 8-10 years writing. And so I got on it and did it.
And yes, you did, in a big, big way. So first, before we get into that, because I have tried to figure out what it is, but I need you to tell me. So purposeful. I love this cover. I love the title. I remember when I was like, wow, now that really grabs you. If I saw this on a shelf somewhere, you know how we do, definitely it makes you want to pull it off because it's so intriguing. Angels is the first one. But before we get to the angels, then the herpes, then the psychedelics. Because I wonder, did they really come in this order? What is this thing that the Y is wrapped around down here? What is that?
It's the toad, bufo, the bufo toad, 5-MeO-DMT. So it's a psychedelic. They harvest the venom off the toad's back and crystallize it, and then it's smoked in a pipe.
Well, all righty then. We'll get into that. Do I need to get some Grateful Dead music in the background, or can we just go without it?
Let's go without it for sure.
Okay, let's go without it. Let's start with the angels. Well, first of all, tell us about the order on the cover. How did you come to that?
It was from Spirit, and I've had so many people in the process of publishing the book that challenged me on this cover and said that people would actually be, scared off by the cover in many ways, because there's a lot of people that are still not receptive to psychedelics, and that people don't want to talk about herpes, and that it's a taboo topic, and that some people don't believe in angels. And so I said, that's okay, because I'm here to say that people need to know that they have angels here supporting and guiding them, whether they're in human body, which was the gentleman on the plane, or in celestial bodies, which is our archangels and lots of other angels. So angels are in our life every day to support us. So if anyone out there feels alone, just know that you have guides and angels that are there all the time. So I talk a lot of stories. Yeah, I talk a lot about stories about angels. I talk about five angels that showed up in my living room. That was a really interesting situation.
Have you ever seen
that? The angel, I can't see it.
The angels within us.
Yes.
Girl, changed my life. changed
Yeah.
my life. When I got to the angel of abundance and she told me what to do, I'm not kidding you. Within days, my financial status changed and has never gone anywhere but up since then. That's a fact. She told me she was all in a cocoon, just wrapped up. And I was like, how'd you get like that? She goes, you put me here. I said,
Oh
well,
gosh.
how do I get you out? She goes, just command it so. Speak it and it'll be done. And I did. And days later, money came into my life that I get now for the rest of my life every month. Just got it on the first. And my angel number is 444. And I had started, I think I keep seeing it. I wonder if I can send it back. So I still do it. I get up at either 4:44 in the morning or 4:14. So I said, well, I'm gonna send the number back to them. When I got that money that comes every month, guess what it was? I won't tell you the first digit, but it's the digit, and it's 344.44 every month for the rest of my life.
Love it. Love
okay,
it.
so angels, check it off. So how did you meet? How did you get to that place where they became real to you? Because a lot of us talk about them like we do Snow White or Santa Claus. How did they become like when you talk about your best friend Gwen? You know, how did they become that close to you?
Well, I think I always had an affinity to the spirit realm. But I really shut that down when I got married. And I think that was also one of the reasons why I had to break out of that marriage. And so I was more scared, not about who would walk through my door, like in a break-in, but more like who might show up in my home. And so when I was, and I tell this story in the book, when I was back at my marital property to take care of our dog, because my soon-to-be ex-husband was traveling, I was sitting on the sofa and I was reading a book on mindful loving. And so it had nothing to do with angels. And all of a sudden, I just felt this energy just swoosh into the room. And I just looked up above my book, and there was these 5 people standing there in flannel shirts and blue jeans, and they were a little bit translucent. And it absolutely scared me, because this was like what I had feared all my life, was that the entities and spirits were going to actually show up. And they did. And at the time, I was really distraught about my divorce, in the sense that I was so clear. I was so clear that I needed to leave for my soul's plan. And yet I felt really, really bad that I was like, why can't we bring our loved ones along with us on this awakening process? Not that I used those words at that point, but I was so sad that I just, why can't you just shake people awake and have them go on the journey with you, right? And so that narrative was in my mind as I was also reading, which is why I was reading Mindful Loving. And they just said to me, you're doing the right thing, keep going. And then it was just this swoosh through my body, and it was just amazing. It was like this love that just flowed through, and I felt so guided, so supported. And then I couldn't ignore that entities, spirits, beautiful beings are here with us on the other side. And that really helped me just start to open more to, let's not look at these, as scary things. This is our support team.
Yeah.
And then I started using angel cards every single day to get messages, and then everything just unfolded from there. And so that, I think,
talk about that, because I'd like to know more about those angel cards, because I keep threatening to get some, but I haven't done it yet. Talk about, what's that like? Is it like a conversation?
Yeah, I speak with my guides in a couple of different ways. I haven't used angel cards for a while. I mean, I have them, and I still love them, but I have so many other different cards and things that I like. But what I do is I ask a question, right? I ask a question that I just, in my mind, haven't been able to find the answer for. And then I shuffle the deck. And for me, I shuffle it until a card just literally pops out, or until I feel called to pull one particular card. And then inevitably it's exactly what I needed to hear. And it gives me the guidance that I really needed, and I couldn't see because my mind was in the way, right? So our mind always gets in the way because it's got programs and it's got ideas and tries to tell us, who we're supposed to be in this world, when, deep down inside our soul is always speaking, but sometimes it's hard to get in there and hear it. So I use the cards that way, but I also speak to my angels through what I call remote writing, which simply means I get my journal out and I write the question. It can be super simple, like, why am I so sad right now? And then I just let the pen write. And I know that it's my guides and my angels that are just telling me exactly what it is that I need to hear. And oftentimes I'll go the next day and I'll be like, who wrote that? And of course I know I wrote it, but it really gets channeled through. And so it's really being open. That's the key word, is being open to receive the messages, but also to have the wisdom to ask.
Exactly. Hence the promise, seek and you shall find. It is absolutely true. So have the angels ever given you anything that you didn't want to receive, that you didn't want to hear? Because a lot of us think, well, they're going to always give me good news and give me, but sometimes I hear that they tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. Have you had that experience?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've had that experience, because sometimes, tough love has to come through, and there's things that you don't want to see about yourself. And that's the point of asking the questions, right? Because there's hidden narratives in our mind that we're not aware of. I can't think of anything like right off the top of my head as to where I got that news, but I do find that on the awakening journey that, the more I break through a belief and transcend and ascend to other more expansive states of consciousness, the bigger the lessons and the bigger the initiations that come. And so it's like, sometimes I feel like, I thought I already learned that, I thought I already did that. And then another example comes and they're basically testing to see, like, hey, did you get the lesson? Did you embody the lesson, not just intellectually know or understand the lesson, but are you living that lesson? Have you raised your vibration and are you maintaining it? And so those, I would say, are times when I just feel like, really, like I got to go through that again. And, and it's just them saying, yeah, maybe there's just a little bit more dusting to do. And, maybe there's just a few more thoughts to tweak and, a different perspective to have. And so those times, I would say, are difficult for me, because I am a real student in so many ways. And so when I feel like I'm not getting the A, I'm like, I didn't want to get the B or the C or the D or the F, but again, those are all self-inflicted ideas anyway. So there's no right or wrongs here, right? It's just making a decision and following your heart and staying on the path of following your heart.
So now we get through the angel section of the book, and we get to that. So the angels and the psychedelics, let's say those are the two pieces of bread in this sandwich. But who knew that herpes could be the meat and cheese? So tell us about this piece that is nestled right in the middle. Because I can get excited about angels. I can get excited about psychedelics. Herpes, not so much. So talk about that and why you felt you must include this, because I get it, but maybe someone else doesn't, about the difference between your full story and then a version. See, a lot of people are willing to tell the version, but they're not about to tell it from the rooter to the tutor. Talk about that.
Yeah. And yes, thank you. Herpes is a taboo topic. And so when we have taboo topics, I think let's shine the light on the truth and let's talk about this stuff, because the difficult conversations are the big breakthrough conversations that get us to the other side. And I mean that about any trauma that's happened. And I also mean it about any mind viruses that you might have. But I do pay off the word in the book, and I do share a very, very personal story about herpes in my life. And it's really about helping people get to the other side of feeling like, the biblical terms of the lepers, right? Where people were really shunned and had virus shame. And I saw that with COVID. I was like, oh my goodness, people are experiencing virus shame. And early on, if you remember when, if you got COVID, people are like, oh, don't tell anyone I got COVID, or because they knew they were going to be judged for maybe you didn't wear your mask, or maybe you went out in public, or maybe you traveled and you shouldn't have. And everybody wanted to just like judge you. And it's like, people, we need to get beyond the judgments of anything, whether it's that someone has herpes. It's like if you had any other virus and you were sick, you would bring someone chicken soup. You would talk about it, you'd make them feel better, and so herpes is not a virus that needs to have this shame. And, the same with HIV and AIDS, right? Like these are all thought constructs, it's societal, norms now of like this hush hush, this secret. And now is the time, with the awakening happening on planet Earth, we need to just shine the light on everything, and everything from the belly needs to come up, and it is coming up, and that's why it feels so like traumatic at times and so
Yeah.
turbulent, because it's like everything's coming up. So it's just, I'm really here to encourage people to get beyond the ideas of any virus shame,
Any shame.
any shame and any trauma that's deep within, because herpes causes trauma. Whether you have herpes or you've been with somebody who does have herpes and they've told you you were traumatized. So it causes a lot of trauma, and it doesn't need to. It does not need to. And so that's really the main reason why it's on the cover of the book, is to talk about topics that no one wants to talk about.
Perfect. Beautiful. And I will tell you something. When you were saying that about the shaming, first thing that popped in my mind was when my husband and I, Brian, when COVID first started, back when the kids were writing on the sidewalks with chalk. Remember, in everybody, it was going all around the country how kids were doing this, right? So we would go on walks. And I remember the day that ended, because we were on the same side of the street as some people way down there. And they saw us coming. And I ain't kidding. They literally ran across the street screaming. And we were like, oh my God, are you serious? So yes, of course it got better, but there was so many different levels of that fear. And it's so easy for us to go there, but not so easy sometimes to get back out. No matter what we think, we drag it with us. So I thank you for that. And herpes, what a great way to get people to think about anything that they think is a tough topic. Silence is the toughest topic of all, if you ask me. Now let's get to the fun part. Because when people think psychedelics, they think when the moon is in the seventh sky and Jupiter aligns with Mars, and you're in some kind of flowy dress and Burning Man and pretty colors, tracers, and all that. Talk about what psychedelics mean to you and what they mean to your life and your journey within this awakening.
Yeah.
How do you use them?
Yeah, I have to say that I've always been pretty straight and narrow, and other than occasional alcohol use, I have been super anti-drugs, not even marijuana. So for me to be, writing a book and talking about psychedelics is like unbelievable for me. And the reason why it's on there is that and how I got involved in it was I had been on such a deep dive spiritual journey for 20 plus years, and really felt like I had done every spiritual thing under the sun, and my spiritual toolbox was robust. So I didn't have a desire or a need to go and do psychedelics. However, a friend of mine was diagnosed with breast cancer. She got exposed to MDMA, not exposed to, but decided to have a journey in a sacred space. And it changed the entire trajectory of her breast cancer treatment and her whole idea around it. She understood now how and why she called this disease into her life. And she said, Beth, you really should try this. And I was like, thank you, but I feel really, really good with where I am in my spiritual journey. And I don't really think I need to lose my mind. I'm like, I don't want to lose my mind. My mind is my tool and my advocate. And so I didn't want to go there. Well, then she talked about San Pedro, which is a cactus. And I had been interviewing for my show a gentleman, Louis Schwartzberg, who's a famous time-lapse cinematographer. He does all the slow flower opening stuff, and he's also done the Fantastic Fungi documentary. So I had interviewed him. I want to talk all about flowers. He wanted to talk all about mushrooms. And then I said, wait a second, we're talking about the power of Mother Nature. I'm going to ask Louis what he thinks about ayahuasca and San Pedro. And so he just said to me, Beth, if you get the right opportunity in the right set and setting, he said, absolutely, you should try these medicines. They're amazing for your spiritual journey. And so that I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to be more open to this. So when I got an invitation to a San Pedro ceremony, I wanted to say no. And then I happened to be editing his episode, and I remember his little nudge, and I said yes. And then just had an amazing experience on San Pedro, which then led me to try some of the others, over a course of time, because I'm a big advocate and a spokesperson for psychedelics now. I think what it did for me was it took all of the ideas and concepts that I knew intellectually and that I had learned over all these years into embodiment. So, like, for example, one of the things that, if I'm honest, used to really annoy me was when everyone talked about oneness. I'm like, okay, we're all one. You know, it's like, I want to believe that we're all one, but it doesn't make sense because I'm here and you're there. And like, I don't get it. Right. So when I was able to do psychedelics and lose my ego mind completely and be just in my soul, I understood how we are all one. Like I actually felt how we are one. And so for me, there was so many incredible lessons that came through on a very macro, big level, like how the universe works and going to source and being in oneness, to like, why did this happen? Or what do I need to do here? Or seeing someone else differently. And so I'm a huge advocate of psychedelic use. I would say that I'm less about the recreational use because I feel that the sacredness of what these medicines can bring us is what and why they're here. But most importantly, it's the integration. So the journey is one thing. It's the integration that makes all the difference. Because if you don't have a spiritual toolbox, I highly encourage people to build one, because sometimes that bridge, when you get shot out there and you see everything and you're like, oh, wow. And you don't have a toolbox to help you with the bridge to embody it and keep it back here, then what happens sometimes for some people is that then they want to just keep going back and getting shot out there. And then at that point, from my perspective, then you're just doing drugs. And so I'd like to keep people in the realm of, let's keep this as a sacred ceremony so that when we learn something big, that we come back here in this third realm and do something with it, embody it, understand it to a much deeper level. And so that's really where I'm at with it, that it's about the integration.
So let me ask you, do you talk to that in the book? Because I found it interesting that, and then I started, because I have ADHD, so I have like multiple conversations going on in here at the same time. Yeah. So when you were first thing that got me was you said medicines. And then I thought, well, psychedelics, I've never heard someone refer to them as medicines, but then they will call all the stuff that the pharmaceutical people peddle as medicines, when that's, people are hooked on, oxycodone and oxycontins and this, that, and the other drugs, but they call those medicines. But then these organic things they call drugs. It's like we've been duped to get us over to the thing that does not serve us and keep us away from the things that can. Now, I have always, and I'm talking about a person who, I wasn't addicted to drugs, but I was addicted to abusing the invitation of things coming in. That's what it is, because drugs don't lie and they don't have power over me unless I allow them in. So let me ask you this, the bridge part. I've always said that, especially when I have been experiencing, dipped into the psychedelic world. Now, granted, back in the day when I was going to Grateful Dead concerts, it was just to stand on the chairs and do the bear dance, right? And party in the parking lot. But then I wasn't inside of the awakening consciously at the time. Now that I am very cognizant of the bridge. Talk a little bit more, if you could, about what are some of your tips for the steps to create? Number one, I love that toolbox idea. I think there should be a book just on that, unless there already is one. Your spiritual toolbox, and then how to use it to build that bridge. Do you need to know why you're crossing it? Or do you trust in something and then cross, or could it be both?
Yeah, I love that question. And what comes to mind is you don't need to know anything. You just need to be here now. Ram Dass always encouraged us to just be here now. And what that means is to be present in this moment now and the experience that we're having now. And yes, things make us feel good and bad, and a lot of different emotions come, but it's about letting the emotions flow through. But when we have these roadblocks in our mind because we believe certain ideas, then we're stuck. And so the bridge of psychedelics, takes us, way over here, so that we're not in that circuitous loop of thoughts or ideas about who we think we are, and says, no, you're actually the most powerful creator on the whole planet and the whole universe and the whole cosmos. And so then you come back here and you go, oh my God, I know that I'm this powerful creator, but I'm still sitting in my shit, right? And so So you want the spiritual toolbox so that you can bridge this world and that world. It's all the same thing. It's all a holographic universe, but it helps you to understand more about the multidimensional being that you actually are. So there is so much happening beyond what you think you are, because it's just your little mind and these wheels in there that are trying to tell you who you are. And then the external environment lines up with that to reinforce who you think you are, as opposed to who you really are, which is a powerful being, a creator, and oneness with God, right? Whatever you want to say God is. And I don't mean that from the traditional religious sense. I mean that from your most powerful place of your spirit and your being and your soul and what you're here to do. And so that's the whole purpose of the book, is awaken. Like, it is time to awaken. And I share so many different storylines and so many different things that happened to me, the good, the bad, the ugly, and how I got through it. It doesn't mean that that's how you're going to get through it, but it at least provides a way that says, hey, you might want to try this. You might want to think about that. So to build that bridge, for me, it was years of spiritual work. And I like to call them spiritual medicines, not just medicines, because they work on your spirit. They work on your soul. They're not going in as a Band-Aid on your body, which is what, a lot of the pharmaceutical medicines do, right? It's like, no, we want to get clear so that we don't need anything outside of us. We don't need medicines, because we're releasing all of these thought constructs that are holding us back. So yeah, the bridge is really, really important to have that toolbox. And sometimes it's learning the lessons through different modalities, whether it's yoga or it's breath work. There's lots of different things that help us with that bridge. Sometimes it's just having a loving support person. Sometimes it's letting someone go in our life that's pulling us back and sucking our light and, continually knocking us down because they're too scared, right? We're trying to persevere and go through the fear. And they're like, no, let's come back here and let's be in this fear. It's like, so sometimes it's about letting go of someone, but it's always about letting go and surrendering to the power that you innately are.
There's the book on the screen, and there is the Amazon link, which I've already taken the liberty of dropping inside the comment section. Scroll to the very top and you'll find it in there. BethBell.me. What will they find when they click there? Because that's also inside the comment section. Tell them what's there waiting for them when they get there, because you have a giveaway for everybody, right?
Yeah, I do. I have a giveaway. You can get the first 2 chapters free. So if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get lots of information, but there's that there. There's a link to the introduction to the book that you can listen to. It's 11 minutes, so it'll give you a little taste of what it is. And yeah, you can sign up and be part of the tribe and help in pollinating the planet with love. There's lots of resources on it. There's also the Awakening and Healing Handbook. So speaking of the bridge, I list all of the modalities that I talk about in detail, more so in the Awakening and Healing Handbook. So that helps you with your spiritual toolbox and bridge. Yeah.
Yes. And one of the favorite spots in the book for me, I actually have it marked. And it's where I'm at right now. Chapter 16, ceremonies, spiritual lessons, and sessions. Here's what she says, Beth says in the very beginning of that chapter: being on a spiritual quest is often referred to as finding oneself. But the deeper I went, the clearer it became that, wait for it, I was stepping away from my old self to unveil the truth of who I really am. How many of us know that is why we're here? Our soul is thirsty for that very, very thing. So I highly recommend you get over, check it out. You can hear some of it for free. You can experience it. Hang your feet over inside the pool before you jump completely in. How wonderful is that? Get over and check it out. You will not be sorry. I know, because I have it here. And thank you so much for this blessing right here, Beth Bell. Thank you so much. I love it. Everything about this. I'm glad that we came back around and finished it off. You're welcome back anytime. Let us know. We'll get you in here. And I'm going to talk to a lot more of the show hosts on the network. I think this would be a great, great show for a lot of audiences, all audiences, really. So thank you so much for all that. Listen, you guys, come back tomorrow. God willing, I'll meet you at 8 a.m. Central, like I do every Monday through Friday on the front porch, where together we come together to create another divine moment in time. Tomorrow, I have Andre Duty here. He is a young artist. He's representing Romania in the Eurovision global competition for songwriting, and he will be performing his song via recording tomorrow, Statues, which is the theme song for our documentary, and also he'll be performing it live at our big event on the 7th of May in Romania. So he's here tomorrow. Don't miss it. Beth, any Jerry Springer moment, leave them with something that they can take with them and do something with.
You know, it's beyond self-love right now. You got to get in there and you've got to figure out who you really are, because when you do, life becomes so much more blissful and you contribute to humanity in such a bigger way. So get rid of the distractions and just go deep.
Go deep. Be the best you can be. Get out of here. Have a great day. And tomorrow will be even greater. I'm Lauren. I'm your friend. I love you. And as always, in parting, there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Beth. Great job.
Thank
you.
You.
So much. Of course.
Show me your soul.